In this world, the morning commute isn't silent, but it's quiet. No ringtones, no hurried calls. Every urgent message still arrives by hand-delivered letter or a whirring pneumatic tube. Diplomacy unfolds over weeks, not minutes. Business deals are forged through meticulous correspondence, and personal connections deepen through the thoughtful weight of a handwritten note. Time itself feels different, but none of this was supposed to happen. This drastically different timeline began with a single pivotal moment in 1876. Alexander Graham Bell, a teacher of the deaf, tirelessly pursued his dream to transmit human speech over a wire. In our history, a fateful spill of acid in his lab on March 10, 1876, prompted him to call out to his assistant, Thomas Watson. The words, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you," became the first coherent sentence transmitted by telephone. But what if that crucial moment never happened? Perhaps Bell was interrupted. Perhaps his experiments took a different, less fruitful path. The acid spill was avoided, or the words weren't quite clear. Without that breakthrough, the world remained firmly in the age of the telegraph. Samuel Morse's invention dominated long-distance communication. News, business orders, and urgent messages still traveled, but they were painstakingly transcribed and relayed, often with significant delays. Bell himself, perhaps discouraged, may have shifted his focus entirely, returning to his work on educating the deaf, leaving the electrical communication field to others. Meanwhile, the humble postal service experienced an unforeseen boom. It became the backbone of both personal and professional exchange. Cities invested heavily in pneumatic tube networks, sending canisters of documents and letters at incredible speeds through underground tunnels. Specialized messenger services thrived. Companies like Wells Fargo, already established, expanded to include rapid letter and parcel delivery across vast distances. New technologies emerged to optimize the written word. Sophisticated typewriters became ubiquitous, and automated sorting machines revolutionized post offices. Marconi's wireless telegraphy, or radio, still developed, but its early focus remained on Morse code for point-to-point communication and ship-to-shore messages. Voice transmission via radio remained experimental, struggling for clarity and fidelity, considered more a novelty than a reliable communication tool for decades. Railways became even more vital as arteries for information. Mail cars were often equipped with clerks sorting letters mid-journey. The newspaper industry flourished, serving as the primary source of rapid information, though still delayed compared to our timeline. Transatlantic cables, originally for telegraph, now carried even more critical data. But the time difference meant a query sent in London received a reply days later. Political decisions, particularly international ones, became far more deliberative, sometimes ponderously slow, without the immediacy of a direct call. The art of letter writing, a skill already revered, became even more refined. Calligraphy academies flourished, and stationery became a serious business. Children were taught the importance of clear, concise, and often eloquent written expression from a young age. Privacy became an even more valued commodity. The written word, once sealed, offered a sense of inviolable personal space. Neighbors might still gossip over fences, but sensitive information required careful, considered phrasing on paper. Courtship blossomed through eloquent letters exchanged over weeks, allowing for a deeper, more reflective understanding of character before face-to-face meetings. A slower, more romantic pace. The advent of the First World War would prove a brutal test for this communication landscape. Commanders relied on telegrams and dispatched runners. Orders took hours, sometimes days, to reach the front lines, resulting in more disorganized offensives and greater casualties. Aerial reconnaissance planes carried written reports back to headquarters, risking interception or loss. Naval communication remained heavily reliant on flag signals, lamps, and specialized radio telegraphy, making coordinated movements exceptionally difficult. News of casualties often took weeks to reach families, prolonging agonizing uncertainty and grief, communicated through formal letters from the War Department. Post-war, global business continued to adapt to the slower pace. Multinational corporations were slower to emerge. Instead, strong regional economies thrived, with businesses closely tied to their local infrastructure of mail and messenger services. Social life, too, had a different rhythm. Impromptu gatherings were rare. Most social events were meticulously planned via invitations. Remember the quiet cities from the cold open? This is the cultural foundation. No public conversations shouted into a phone. Public libraries and archives gained even greater prominence as central hubs for information and research. Personal secretaries and typists became indispensable across all sectors, managing vast volumes of correspondence for executives and public figures. Airmail services, once a novelty, became critical infrastructure for transatlantic and transcontinental communication. Aviators who braved the skies to deliver mail were seen as modern heroes, their daring exploits often celebrated in newspapers. As the world teetered on the brink of another global conflict, military strategists grappled with the inherent delays in communication. World War II in this timeline was profoundly different. Coordinating massive armies across continents became a logistical nightmare. Front lines often fought on outdated intelligence. The speed of battle outpaced the speed of command. Submarine warfare became even deadlier as wolf packs struggled to coordinate attacks without instant communication. Naval battles were often protracted affairs of maneuvering and signaling, with commanders adjusting strategies based on delayed intelligence. Code-breaking efforts, like those at Bletchley Park, became even more crucial, as intercepted messages were often the only real-time intelligence available. Medical emergencies also posed unique challenges. Reaching specialists or coordinating complex care across distances was arduous. Mass media, primarily cinema and radio broadcasts, became even more powerful tools for disseminating information and propaganda. Radio programs and news channels became the lifeline to current events, often with hourly updates, giving a sense of immediacy without interactivity. The industrial complexes needed for wartime production relied on meticulous written schedules and messenger services for coordination. Logistics became paramount. Efficient postal routes, robust train networks, and reliable delivery systems were the unsung heroes of wartime communications. Letters from soldiers to their families became precious, often censored, and took weeks to traverse the globe. The end of the war arrived, but the global celebrations and pronouncements of victory spread more gradually. Town by town, newspaper by newspaper, families separated by war still wrote to coordinate reunions, letters often crossing in the mail as they planned their journeys home. Scientific advancements, though still rapid, required more formal publication and review. Collaborative research was slower, relying on detailed papers. The post-war global economy adapted, but the absence of instant communication meant that markets responded more slowly to crises and opportunities. A general sense of deliberation and patience permeated society. Rushed decisions were inherently difficult, forcing a more thoughtful approach to life. The postal worker was a revered figure, a crucial link in the chain of human connection, traversing neighborhoods with purpose and dedication. The entire world had been sculpted by the persistent, undeniable fact that a simple conversation required time and intention. And then, finally, the mid-20th century dawned. In the 1950s, a team of engineers, perhaps inspired by Bell's forgotten work, or simply driven by technological progression, finally cracked the code. The first clear voice transmission over long distances was achieved, and the world paused, then erupted in a cautious, bewildered excitement. Initial adoption was slow. People were accustomed to the detailed clarity of letters. The telephone felt intrusive, less formal. Central switchboards, operated by human operators, quickly became essential, connecting a hesitant public to this new era of instantaneous sound. By the 1960s, phones became more common, but their use was reserved for emergencies, urgent business, or short, functional conversations. The sheer volume of communication in our timeline would overwhelm their new phone networks. The culture of brevity was born out of necessity. Long, rambling phone calls were still largely unthinkable. The carefully crafted letter remained king for nuanced discussions. The development of computing in the 1970s and 80s was also affected. Early computer networks focused more on data exchange and text messages. Email, when it arrived, was a revelation. It offered the speed of a phone call, but with the considered thought of a letter instantly adopted. The shift from voice to text as the primary digital communication method was ingrained. Unlike our world's balance, mobile phones, when they finally arrived, were primarily text-based devices. Messaging apps dominated, fostering a culture of concise written interaction. Video calls and voice notes were luxuries, bandwidth-intensive and used sparingly, even into the 21st century. The past, filled with treasured letters and meticulously preserved correspondence, was viewed with a deep sense of reverence. Typewriters, far from obsolete, experienced a nostalgic resurgence for their tactile satisfaction and permanence. Without the constant interruption of ringing phones, personal focus and deep work became more prevalent. Relationships, built on the slow burn of correspondence, might have fostered a different kind of intimacy, forged in patience and reflection. The world still connected, but it did so with a quieter, more considered voice. The digital revolution still came, but on different terms. The very nature of our attention, our capacity for silence, our patience, all would be fundamentally reshaped. What then would that teach us about ourselves? This timeline forces us to confront our modern addiction to instantaneity. Is the speed of communication always equivalent to its quality? A world where every word was considered, every thought carefully penned, might breed a society of deeper thinkers and more articulate individuals. Would this slower pace lead to fewer misunderstandings, as arguments couldn't escalate in real time, but had to be carefully constructed? Or would it simply exacerbate delays, prolonging suffering and hindering progress in critical moments? The very act of waiting for a reply, that anticipation, that space for reflection, has been largely lost to our modern world. Letters are tangible artifacts, carrying the scent of paper, the trace of a hand, a physical piece of the past that phones cannot replicate. Perhaps this alternate history suggests that true connection isn't always about immediacy, but about the intention and effort invested in communication. The very pace of life would slow. The constant pressure to respond, to be on call, would be absent for decades. How much of our modern anxiety stems from this relentless pace? And what cultural values would have flourished in its absence? This slower world might cultivate a deeper appreciation for observation, for listening, not just to words, but to the silences between them. The very nature of memory, too, might be altered. Would we remember conversations less and written sentiments more vividly? Even the concept of loneliness might be redefined. The absence of a voice, replaced by the comforting wait for a letter. This journey through an age of enduring silence, only broken by the rustle of a letter, reminds us that human connection is timeless, regardless of its conduit. It forces us to ponder the choices we make, the innovations we embrace, and the silent spaces we inadvertently sacrifice in the name of progress. The quiet world that Bell never shattered offers a profound mirror to our own clamorous one, asking us what is truly gained and what is truly lost. This alternate history reminds us that some forms of communication, like the written word, transcend fleeting moments and become enduring testaments. If contemplating such profound shifts makes you pause and reflect, consider subscribing for more journeys into the roads not taken. Until then, cherish the silent moments and the thoughtfully chosen words.